Do we have any petitions or public comments? I knew that's what you're going to raise your hand.
Yes.
Actually, there's something.
Last month we had discussed the waste management business on Schoolhouse Lane. And I saw in the Bluestone Press, and then I also Googled it, is its address being 2039, Route 32. Which is in Billy Liggins Insurance is there. I see Billy Liggins Insurance Company. I see Home Hearth. But I see nothing about solid waste disposable services at that location. If he has it addressed as a commercial location and he's operating out of a residential location, isn't that you're hiding something?
And you're asking me to speculate. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know why the paper put that in. That's,
That's his
that wasn't
address.
the address that anybody's investigating, so I don't think that
This
that's
address is in the newspaper and the phone book. And the only thing that's in that building is his son's four-wheelers.
I don't know.
That's what's in that building. So at this point, I spoke to the code enforcer, and we're trying to work on it. His quote was, "We are trying to keep a viable business going. We don't want waste management to take over." I'm working on getting his materials undercover, meaning his garbage cans on his property and so forth, and I don't understand why he's trying to hide materials on a residential location. And our office is working with him to find an affordable location for him. Why does the code enforcer have to find affordable locations for?
Sir, I think we explained it last month, that this is not to the board.
Yeah.
This is to our code enforcement officer to handle this. So your questions and concerns are really not directed to the right place, right?
Well, I will say that Tom did give me, and actually to John, I don't know if you want to look in your packet or something from Tom about this. I know that the person you talked to was Ryan.
Yes, I did talk to
And
Ryan.
Ryan, like I said to you at the time, because you called me about the things he said, was that some of those things, weren't correct. That Ryan is not directed to do that, to look for a new place for a business or any of that stuff. And that the other thing that we were, from a complaint that you made to the DEC, we were waiting for the report from DEC. And Tom, since then, has gotten a report back from the DEC showing that there was no evidence of pollution either in the stream, in his pond, or in the area where his trucks are parked. So, that has been disputed. There isn't any pollution there. What's going on with your pond, I can't speak to, because that, you're telling us there's pollution in your pond, but according to the DEC, it's not coming from that property.
Is there a report of that, and who did that?
I'm not sure where the report is, but it was something that Tom got because DEC did a report based on a complaint that I believe that you may have made.
Yeah.
Correct?
I did.
So the building department would have the
Yes,
report.
so Tom wrote a letter based on the report that he saw that was, I don't know if he has the report because the report was to Bill, Mr. Ferrer. So he probably gave him a copy, but I don't know for sure. That was because the complaint was to the DEC.
But speaking with the code enforcer, he doesn't seem to have a problem with a waste management business being run out of a residential area. And even if it was allowed as a home business, I mean, I pulled off your code, and it says, "There shall be no indication of a home occupation from the exterior of the building. No materials or equipment used in the home occupation shall be stored or displayed outside the dwelling." And he doesn't seem like this is an issue, the code enforcer.
Well, you just contradict yourself there, because you just said that they were looking for ways for him to put undercover the things that might indicate that there's a home business there. So that's where he's in if that's where he's in violation, he needs to show that those things aren't out in the open.
A waste management business is a home occupation?
Let me listen, I'm just going by Tom's report, okay?
Yeah.
I have not seen the site, and, I just know this is what Tom said. I don't know if you want to read the letter?
Sure. From Building Inspector Tom Fiore to Supervisor Wall. This office, the Building Inspector's office, has been actively investigating the complaint of Mr. Dyshak. The situation has been investigated previously by Officer Massimi dating back to 2006. And I don't know if that means only 2006 or since then. It sounded like also since then when I had talked to Mr. Massimi.
Okay.
Both times we have not observed any refuse being stored on premises or trucks containing refuse. He was ordered to put new unused containers in a shed or enclosure. I am in receipt of a letter from New York State DEC dated January 1st, 2015. They had received a complaint dated December 9, 2014. Their letter confirms that they investigated unannounced and found no unusual odors, and the site was free of solid waste. The investigation was closed and no violations were issued. It has been our contention that business owners may bring their vehicles home with them. We have many situations like this, such as oil trucks, plumbers, carpenters, refrigeration repair, excavation trucks and trailers, roofing and insulation contractors, just to name a few. If I have to tell Mr. Ferrara that he cannot bring his trucks home then we may have to enforce this town-wide, which I feel will be an even bigger firestorm. I had suggested to him he should find commercial property, but he feels he is entitled to keep them on his property like so many others. I've been told that Ulster County Health Department has also done an investigation on the site, and I'm currently trying to get a copy of that report. Thomas Fiore, Code Enforcement.
In the code, it says the following uses are of character that is generally incompatible with residential area: a hospital or clinic, animal hospital or kennel, automotive repair shop, nursery school. Now, waste management is a home occupation where you can store containers. You're washing out waste containers there with a pressure washer. It's not that he's just driving his truck home. He has multiple trucks for a waste management business. He's advertised as 2039 in a commercial zone, but he's running in a residential zone. Why does he have a commercial location? Google it on your phone right now. Put in solid waste disposable service. You see 2039 Route 32, and there's no business sign for waste disposable services on 32. All his containers are in a residential area. It's not just his truck. I can understand a plumber driving his truck home, yes. But he has 3 or 4 vehicles for his business. He has all his containers there. He has dumpsters there. His whole business is run out of his house.
Have you spoke to Mr. Fiore about your...
I did, and they seem like they're just trying to keep him in the residential area and store his containers there underneath some sort of shelter.
So in other words, you're saying his address is contradictory of where he's working at?
Exactly. Why would you say you have a business in a commercial zone and run your whole operation out of a residential area? Don't understand that. If I look up a waste management on my phone right now, it will tell me they're right in East Kingston. You see a big sign for waste management. You see a beautiful still building. You see all the trucks there. You look for Rosendale for waste disposal services. They're located at 2039. There's no sign for the business. There's no trucks. There's no containers. There's no business there.
What did Tom say when you brought that to his attention, that there's a contradiction in the address? What was his comment?
I didn't speak to Tom. I spoke to Ryan. And Ryan is fairly new and doesn't really seem to know much of the codes or
Can I
of
just
this.
ask to help clarify, get at the question you're asking, and I raised this the last time you were here, that it's a zoning question, and maybe Tom can give us the SIC codes or whatever that this use he believes is allowed under, and I think that would help clarify that.
I don't see anywhere in the code for waste. I mean, if these are incompatible, a nursery school or automotive repair shop, I would assume a waste management would fall right underneath that. And to me, as an owner, if I was running a commercial location address and having this front as being a commercial place and then running the whole business out of my house, isn't that a lie?
Yeah, I don't...
I don't think Tom saw it that way. I think he saw it as, the
Did you
work is
send
being
it
done
to Tom
off
as an email,
property and that.
like I suggested, put everything in black and white hard copy? No, you didn't.
No, I did not. And what I feel okay.
Please, talking like this, he said, she said, I think I said, I did. You got to compile your thoughts and your legitimate questions in an email and send it to everyone that it pertains to. That way, everybody is on track. I will give you my email address to include me, so we can watch where this goes. I can see your point with the contradiction of address. It would make me raise an eyebrow to the thought, was there a contradiction to possibly cover it up. But I'm just saying maybe, I'm just throwing out there. But anyway, you got to put it in an email and include all of us so that we can all be on board, the same chapter.
So I could get everyone's email here to send it
I have-
to, along with,
No,
who else besides the code enforcer?
Just send it to Tom and he can forward it to the other
Right,
department.
but I do want to reiterate that that's sort of, this SIC codes are incredibly detailed. And so it's either an allowed use or it's not. It should be a straightforward question. So I think getting the clarity from the building department of what this falls under would help give some answers to this.
Yeah, how I kind of, and last thing, how I view it is, he's using a front as a commercial business, not running it out of there. He's doing it because he knew it wasn't allowed in the residential area to begin with. So he's carrying this front ongoing and no one's really pursuing it. Which is, you know, if there's a waste management business in town of Rosendale and his address is 2039 and it's in the phone book and you can't find it at 2039 and there's nothing there, and then it's run out of his house, what's wrong with that?
But
There's something wrong.
If you haven't done it,
Yeah.
and email
Oh, I
the
will.
request of
That's
last month,
fine.
there's really nothing to follow up on. You need to document it in black and white.
I will
so
send
that
it to you and I will send it to Tom.
That would be fantastic.
And
Well-
just to, I want to speak to this area issue that we're having, whether or not they're really running a transfer station there. The idea of being able to park your vehicles and or your tools, we have plenty of contractors that live in residential areas and they park their truck or trucks, tools, et cetera, they work out of their house. Very different scale, very different thing. But in terms of looking at it from the point of view of code, I believe what this person, what the business is chartered as is a short haul disposal. So he's not supposed to be carrying anything, he's not supposed to be storing anything on site. And so if that is indeed how he's chartered, I don't have my notes, we spoke back in December, I looked it up then, and I can look it up again. But if that's how he's chartered, the idea is he picks up at one place and drops it at a transfer station, not his house.
And that's what Tom said.
That's what the law governing I think, his license is about. So the question is, if he's doing that and then parking his vehicles at home overnight, it's not a transfer station. If that's not what's happening, we still have to
But,
prove it.
He's-
but
well,
let me
okay.
just say, you're right, and that's where Tom said, you know, his evidence did not show, he didn't see evidence that garbage is being hauled back there, and the DEC didn't see any evidence, and DEC conveyed to Tom that there was no evidence that there was, you know, waste being brought back to that site.
He was already cited and a letter was written to him by Tom and Ryan. You could fill this whole room with a pile of recyclable cardboard he had stored there. He's waiting to cash it in. Now he's doing this, and now that I'm putting pressure on it, it hasn't been happening, but it's been
So
ongoing.
if he's been told, and I talked to you the other day, and I said, you know, if somebody is doing something that's a violation, the first step that we do is to see if they can remedy that violation. If they can bring themselves within compliance, that's typically what is done. And I think that has to be watched to see if he's in compliance. So.
All the garbage containers aren't of a code violation.
I don't
the-
know, I mean, I'm telling you that Tom's
Okay.
looked at it and he's felt that it was not a transfer station. DEC confirmed that it didn't appear to be a transfer station or a dump, as you were saying. There's no evidence of dumping there. And that's how they look at it. So I'm not saying that there isn't stuff that has to be corrected. He's still it's not a closed investigation, it's still an ongoing investigation. Yes.
You have our town attorney here.
I have a couple of questions. Who's hearing all this for
You
the
can
first
look.
time? And generally, the interpretation. Given that this is a residential zone, John, would you like to live next door to what you saw when you went down there to look?
I would hazard to guess not.
Thank you. Okay. So my next question is, if I decided to go to a zoning board meeting, do they have public comment at zoning board meetings? Would I be allowed to speak?
It wouldn't be a zoning board matter.
Well,
It's a code enforcement matter.
Building department.
okay. And so the reason I think that we're here today is because we're not satisfied with the way that the code enforcement is happening. So we feel like our only recourse is to come to you.
Yep.
So let's just assume that maybe this will be described as a violation. What's the process after that?
I don't know.
Do they give a citation?
They
Do
generally
they give them so much
they
time?
generally give a letter giving a certain amount of time to correct that violation.
And after that time, does he get fined by the day?
After that time, the code enforcement officer may bring a violation against him, and then it goes to court, and the court will determine fines.
Okay, thank you.
But as I said before, and I had talked to Mr. Dyshak, is that the first step is to see if a person can be brought into compliance. So if there's anything that's out of compliance, he's going to tell him he has to correct stuff. That's what he was kind of talking about before.
Did they notice the 4 unregistered vehicles on that property?
And Tom also said that he asked him to remove those, and they promised to do that in the spring, as soon as the weather breaks. So it's still an ongoing investigation. I think that Tom's made some movement on this to see what needs to be done, and we'll check in on him in a couple of weeks and see where we're at.
Is he acting as a code enforcer, Tom, also?
He's both.
Okay.
But we have split duties, but both building inspectors still code.
Okay.
I would just ask that every single one of you go and drive past this place and see if you would like to live next door to it. I live 2 houses from it.
And there's like 40, 50 containers with his business name on it, with his phone number and so forth. And he is washing his truck out near a stream.
I've seen it, I've wondered what it was when I was there, because it didn't look like somebody's house.
I haven't really been there, so I don't know.
Just take a ride. Just
Yeah,
please
I'll
do.
that.
Considering his location is 2039, Route 32, and there's no sign of that.
Right. I would say, you're showing a lot of patience in light of a frustrating situation.
Yes.
And I can tell you the entire board is doing some homework on this issue. No formal findings yet, but everybody here has been really interested.
I just asked everyone sitting there, just do a drive-by his house slow.
Yeah,
Just
I've
go
taken
slow and take
several-
a good
taken
look.
several since last
Yeah,
meeting.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
But
that.
also, to your point, Bart, about the address thing,
Yeah.
to me, that may be a salient point, but I think that the property itself and what's going on there is much more salient than the 2 address thing. That may be its own separate thing, but I know that happens all the time. There's often a billing office or office farmed out.
Well, his post office is billing office.
Yeah, but that's
Right.
not a sign of any kind of,
Deception.
From the outside,
deception.
I don't-
Obviously, you're telling us he's obviously operating out of another location. There's no deception. It's pretty out in the
He
open.
admits
so.
he's operating it out of his.
We can't
country.
presume that he's doing it for ulterior motives, or I don't know the ramifications or consequences of that kind of.
Well, if that's a commercial zone and the code enforcer's worried about finding him a spot, why can't they move him to 2039?
We're not, that's
Why
not-
can't they move all his containers and his trucks and everything there?
Well, that's not our
Right.
job. so-
I know, but I'm just saying, if his location is in the commercial zone 2039, he could surely, right behind that whole building is enough space, right? They all own that whole lot? Who owns that lot, 2039?
I don't know.
Does anyone
What are
know?
you talking about?
It's where B&S
B&S, Handy Shop, Home Hearth, Health,
Well, that's
Billy
something
Liggins.
that would be between those private
Yeah,
parties,
that's
whether
not
they
a,
wanted
that's not a town,
to
that's not a town
negotiate that.
issue, so
Can't move somebody somewhere.
that's not our job.
We can try and help.
So one other impact that you spoke to the last time you were here was traffic and noise.
Yes.
And so if you are going to take that step of putting things in black and white, those also speak to whether or not this parcel is being used appropriately for the zone it's in. So I would encourage you to add that to the report that you're going to send.
I'll find some neighbors who are around and take a log of how many times he comes back and forth to his address.
These are the sorts of things that would indicate that the business is being run there as opposed to who's parking his vehicles there.
Right,
And-
time
and so
of
this
day,
isn't-
number.
Yeah, so this is the sort of thing that really gets at,
I don't know if we can make that determination.
no,
You know,
but that's
just-
what,
But it could be a noise thing.
you're right, it's not for me to decide, I'm just saying
Right.
that those are the.
I just want to be careful that we're not making that promise.
That's what the supervisor said.
I'm not expecting anyone to promise. I just would hope everyone just at least does a drive-by, and I don't understand. Like, if I look up Liggins Insurance, his business is on 32. I don't, go to his house for my insurance. Or I don't go to home hearth heating and
But
go
people
to his
don't
house.
typically go to that type of business, you know. If you sign up to be a customer, he gets in his truck and goes to your home to, it's just like if you called a carpenter, you don't go to their house to, that's kind of the point of view that Tom is looking at it. Whether it needs some more study and some more review,
Yeah.
I think that's true. But I'm just saying, if we're looking at it as somebody who gets in their vehicle, goes to a job, you don't service your customers at that location.
Well, Kingston Roll-Off operates, they're right on Beale Street, and he has his truck at his house, but he has all his containers across from Feeney's in the commercial zone.
I can't
Yeah.
speak to what other people are doing, I just can say that we'll keep investigating this to make sure that, you know, we'll probably get Mary Lou involved too, to just
Okay.
evaluate the code and make sure that we're, you know, that he is in compliance.
Right.
Thank you.
And the question of the containers, I think, is an potentially important distinction.
I mean, it says no, there would be no indication or material stored outside a dwelling unit. And it has his business name all over with his phone number, 50, 60 of them, with some dumpsters. So, and that's my last thing, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may, I tried to call you since last meeting, but I couldn't find your number, so maybe I can get your phone number.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any public comments they'd like to make, or petitions? Yes?
I'd like to know what the status is of the chicken ordinance and when this is going to happen. 2 years ago, I spoke to Tom, Dave, my neighbor got a rooster. They came in, they were great, they shut it down in a couple of days. This year, she decided, smart to get another rooster. 4:30 in the morning, the rooster starts, it goes all day. Now they're telling me they can't do anything because she's threatened to sue the town, and there is no ordinance on the books that says she can't have a rooster. So, you know, I sat in the environmental committee for a while. I heard all about the rooster code. This is years ago, and I don't understand why it hasn't been passed, why we don't have some kind of ordinance.
Right, and you came to me a couple of months ago.
Yes, we
and
did.
said that it was the next thing on the list after our overlay district work, because it takes hours to go through this with our attorney, and it's one of those things that is on the list to get done. And we're going to be reviewing the overlay district and hopefully have some movement on that very soon.
And from my last meeting with Gene, actually, the note at the top of my notes is, chicken ordinance is next.
I am so grateful. I can't go through another year of this.
And I just want to say, as someone who worked on that for a year, when I chaired the environmental commission and worked with the planner, Dave Plant has reviewed it, given input,
Yeah,
board
the
members
building
gave
department
input,
has,
CBA gave input, so
Yes,
it just needs to be
Lots of things that
put
have
in
to
front
be-
of us in a legal way, so you
Right,
can
lots of
review
things that
it.
have to be put
So,
in.
you know, we're not saying that just to make you happy. It has been something that we take seriously. We know it has to be addressed. And you're not the only one in
No, I
the
don't think
town
I am.
that has an issue with roosters, so we're gonna be taking.
Should I start sending emails?
You may if you like.
You have documentation that way.
Can you tell me what zone
I'm in an R1,
you're in R1?
and I don't have any farmland next to me, and I don't care about the chickens, the rooster.
The rooster.
Nobody needs a rooster.
We have a rooster. I live in the city of Kingston. There's a rooster across the street.
You know, they suggested I get a gun, but I really just,
We
you know.
we hope you don't do that.
No, I hope so too.
But we will definitely be working on that very soon. And like I said, this has been, it's on my shelf, ready to go.
Thank you. Tonight.
Barbara.
Hi, it's been a long winter and a hard winter, and we've lost our water. We're on town water, and no fault of the town, but we've lost our water for 10 days now. And Terry's been wonderful, but do you have any info on anybody getting their water back? up on the West Shore.
I can tell you that you're not the only person.
I know.
It's
Has
happening.
anybody else gotten
You
it
know,
back?
a lot of people, it's happened where the road goes under the road kind
Yeah,
of thing.
that's where it
This
is.
building here is actually frozen. We don't have any water. We
Okay,
have-
I just thought
it's
you might
like-
have some good news.
It's one of those
like-
things that probably the worst, I've heard it's the worst winter since '78, and many,
Okay.
many people have not only frozen water lines, but frozen septic systems that are backing up. You know, it's just one of those things that we just don't have a remedy for. You know, there
All
are
right,
some,
I
there
just
are
thought you
some.
had some good news, like
Yeah.
up by your in-laws
The
back.
only good
road.
news I can give you is that it's getting warmer.
We had that, you know, Mark, we had that extended freeze, and there's parts that I understand, when I had the meeting with the water and sewer with Terry, there's parts that it has a frost line of 4 to 4.5 feet. So with that being said, and when you drive around and you see all the pavement on every road has heaved, I guess it's in God's hands, really.
We're really sorry that you.
Sorry about that.
You
but-
guys can always come to my house.
Tomorrow.
The bathroom before you leave.
You can't use a bathroom here, I guess.
No, we actually, because we have a water tank, we're pumping it from the well into the tank and filling the tank for so many days, and then, you know, waiting for, when it gets low, we gotta fill it again, so that's what we've been doing. But because it's little use compared to when it was a school, so there's a big storage unit, you know, but.
Well, this hasn't happened to us in 20 years. 20 years ago this happened. And it hasn't
That's about
happened.
right, 78. they
Well,
said.
you're very fortunate because you live close to the creek, so you can have your husband go down and peel it up.
What do you think he's been doing? Are you kidding me?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll meet you tomorrow with the bucket.
It's unfortunate. I just, you know, I know that Terry really doesn't, isn't much he can do. My in-laws all are frozen up there, Broad Avenue. It's not a good thing.
That's fine.
Anybody else?
Yes. Last week we had name is Jim Malik. Last week we had a candid discussion about my wanting to be involved as a volunteer on the rec commission. And it was brought to my attention later on in the meeting that Mr. Ryan had mentioned that he was concerned about my commitment because I've been involved in a prior political scene for the town as I was running.
I don't know
And-
what, I can't speak to Mr. Ryan, he's, you know, has a
Yeah.
conversation with you, but I did ask you to reach out to the other board members because each one has their own reason for who they vote for and who they don't vote for. And unfortunately for you, somebody else's name has been put forward today. So they'll be voting on that to see if they want to vote that person in. But did you reach out to the other?
No, I
council?
thought I was going to receive a contact from somebody else. That they were supposed to reach out to me.
You know what, I did reach out, and I think there was a little bit of an inaccurate statement. You said that the rec committee recommended you?
Yes,
Okay, well, I was at the Association of Towns in New York City, and I researched that out, and the information I got from the rec committee is that they didn't recommend you,
the rec committee from
Rec commission.
The rec commission.
for which you're,
Rosendale.
yeah, that would be Rosemary.
Right, exactly. No, it was Tara Burke who recommended me.
I spoke directly to Tara Burke, and she said that was a matter of fact, she sat right back there.
Yeah.
And she was a little bit surprised when you did say that, and now you're reiterating it again, so.
Right.
What do
so
you
that-
want to do,
So there's
Jim?
obviously two conversations and that are going on, that I'm being told and you're being told different things.
Well, all I know
So-
is that the rec commission didn't endorse you. So
Right.
that'd be great.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I apologize I wasn't at the meeting because I was down in New York City for the Association of Towns, but I will be at the rec commission meeting this month. If you would like to come, and maybe we
Yeah.
can sort this all out with the rec commission before we bring it up a notch. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep.
Okay.
And I know that there's a couple of positions that are open.
There's only one right now.
There's only one position? Okay.
What was the other couple?
I think there are others.
There's only one.
Yeah, I'm more than willing. If you show up, we'll iron this all out and see what we can do and make of it.
Okay.
I was at the meeting.
Oh, thank you. You were
Yeah.
behind us there.
I was there. We did have a discussion, and the commission decided at that time not to recommend Jim, and there's another candidate up tonight that the chair of the rec commission had recommended. So we would like to see the person that was recommended by the chair have an opportunity to be voted on.
Thank you, Free. I guess that reiterates what I just said then, and that was correct information.
I have a
And
couple of, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, ultimately, that's the preferred process by which people are appointed, is that the commissions and boards make recommendations to the board.
So I'm assuming then they were able to see my resume and everything, or?
I don't think your resume was available
Well,
at that meeting.
That's unfortunate, because I
Well,
think,
if they must have had something because your resume was.
who knows, I mean,
If they knew
I
you were
mean,
on the,
who's the liaison that sits on, from the board, right?
wasn't there at that meeting
So,
because we were away.
Once again, I'll say it. I was at the Association of Towns in New York City. I couldn't attend that meeting.
But they wouldn't have
Right.
had your name if they didn't have your application, so that's how your name.
right, but I put in that application in January, so
Yeah.
somehow it must have came through. I would have hoped that that information would have been processed and passed on to the appropriate people so they could review me, and if they had any questions that they could come.
Well,
back to
Mr.
me.
Malik, I'm going to say one more thing, okay? And hear me clear. I sit on the board with the rest of the board members here, and it's our responsibility to manage the town and make sure things are done right, okay? I do not want to hear, and it should come back to us, when there's a threat of getting lawyers involved to sue the town. With that being said, okay, with a smirk on your face, it puts the
Yeah, I'm not
brakes on
sure where
everything.
you heard that from.
Well, I know right where I heard it from, and I know you said it.
Okay, yeah.
I know you,
so
did you say it?
No, I didn't. So you were there? You were there?
You know what?
Let's just.
It's all right.
I'm going to drop it.
So we can,
I'm
Yeah,
going to drop
let's-
it.
yeah.
Let's
I
let
mean,
this go,
Things have
Yeah,
gone,
this is,
this was decided through the appropriate
the
process.
rec commission, one of the members is right here, and she already
Calm
had
down.
voiced her
Calm down.
concern.
Okay, so may I ask what other positions are open?
Pretty much most everything's filled now, because that was the process in February is usually when we do all the.
So no, there are no other positions open?
I would have to go back and look, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Children, yeah.
Say that again?
Only the youth members of the youth commission, they're looking for, so you have to be under 21.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's time to move on. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for February. I'll second that.
Thank you, everyone.
Councilman Hughes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mansford?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Wall?
Yes. Councilman Kozlowski, would you like to start with the committee reports?
Sure.
It's 9:30.
I'll speak fast. I was able, on Tuesday, March 10th, I reviewed financial records of our Justice Court for February as well as last December. There'd been a mix-up and last year's records were locked up when I went to look at them previously. So,
It's locked up in the main hallway?
It was,
Yeah.
and I have the key.
but I reviewed them now and we're
Yeah.
all set.
Yeah.
So, for both justices, for the month of February, I reviewed comptroller report, cash receipt books, books and bank statements for the fines and bail accounts, and found everything to be in order. Also, for both justices, for the month of December, reviewed report to the comptroller, the cash receipts books, books and bank statements for the fines and bail accounts, and found everything there to be in order for that month. I sent this language to the associate president.
Okay, good. I actually saw that email.
I reached out, I didn't get any business from the Chamber of Commerce. Everything coming up from them. The Environmental Commission continues to work on their emissions inventory. at this point, they're completing the methane emissions from the landfill and attempting to figure out employee commutes for the year of 2010.
Can you, just put it on your agenda, next time you have a meeting with them, to let them know that the town is doing the audit, the light audits, and that we've started on, with the water, sewer, and buildings to replace the lighting for LED, to LED, and we'll just give a report on that.
And then the other thing was that they met with the highway superintendent and are working together on the emerald ash borer, which continues to multiply and magnify the impact in our town. They're looking at doing a press release that will go to local papers, as well as the potential for a slide/trailer to be shown at Rosendale Theater for those of us in the audience that have some pull there. As well as an interpretive hike and talk for later in the year. That's
And I
it.
did get those pamphlets, they're in my office.
Emerald Ash Borer pamphlets available at the clerk's office. Matt, thank you.
Yeah, really,
Do you want to talk about solar as an electric?
it's up to you, but, yeah, we should just do it.
Can't hear you guys.
After. Thanks.
Is that it?
That's
Councilman Ryan?
I would like to say that Councilman Peralta has taken more than enough time tonight of my time and everybody's time. Well, you're real time.
Just the bottom line.
Okay.
How much money?
Good evening, everybody. First off, the Highway Department, zero monies taken in. Obviously, Bob and the guys very shortly will be out sweeping the roads, cleaning them up. So please drive safely, look out for the guys. They got a lot of work ahead of them because of the hard winter that we've had. And I think that's about it for that. The Rec Commission, as I stated, I was down in New York City for the Association of Towns. So I missed a few things, but getting up to snuff, the big thing is the pool, and as the Bluestone Press wrote, I don't think we're going to make this season's deadline, unfortunately, due to the hard weather and due to the cost of and expenses that have gone up some. With that being said, pantry, Mr. Hassett gave us a briefing on the pantry. The pantry's doing very well. I want to thank everybody who helped out with that. I don't have the names right off the top of my head. And the final is the ZBA. In the ZBA, there is not much going on here. Yes, the public hearing for the tower in Maple Hill.
And you want to talk about you wanted to talk about I don't think he knows about the rate. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, no, I was just saying T-Mobile, but,
You want to take over now if you're a little bit better insight?
well, just,
Is there an update on the cell tower?
no, there's an update on cell tower laws. Okay,
Have they
and new FCC, reports, and right now, we have, I believe, a $2,500 a year fee,
Yes.
which is something that is done by resolution of the board, that fee
Yes.
is set. Starting the end of this month, it can't be over $1,000. So you may want to do a resolution tonight, lowering that to $1,000 to be in compliance with federal law.
Please
2,000.
lower it, will they actually pay it?
Wait, is that,
I-
that's the licensing fee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the inspection.
Not the
No, that's just like.
That's
They
just
won't
like-
even, they don't even pay the tax.
Yeah, they
They
won't.
pay
used
it,
to
they
pay
pay
the
it when
$1,000.
they pay it when they, some of them pay it in protest when it's time for them to do an upgrade. And then, it's usually years later when they have,
It's
But
really,
bottom line is, we have to comply with, what the federal law is, so.
April
Right.
1st would be too late, because our next meeting's April 1st. I could do a resolution then. Want to do it now?
I would do it tonight because it does,
Can we just do a motion?
No.
Because we don't have a resolution.
well, the resolution can just be,
Right.
be it resolved
Be
that the,
right.
Sure.
We
the
lower
fee will now be $1,000
Yeah.
for
So,
your
let me ask a question though about that. So they used to complain in letters that companies that they didn't have to pay these fees, that this was essentially, you know, there, well, yeah, there was no law dictating that they need to pay these fees that we were making up, so.
Now, they say that we can charge fees which cannot exceed $1,000.
Right, so what I'm thinking is that we should send a letter with a copy of that.
Well, the thing
They
is,
they all know it, they all have been
yeah,
sending
the
it
thing
to
is,
us.
there wouldn't be a new law if there wasn't a law before, okay, or that they're making this.
Well, it
Right,
said
right. It was never-
that they were
it was never
challenging these
They were
fees
challenging
before.
law, and that's one of the reasons.
And there were
you-
probably some atrocious fees out there.
Yeah.
But,
But I
and
will just-
also, the fees are supposed to bear a relationship to our actual cost for license.
Right, which
So,
makes
you
sense.
know, I'm saying 1,000 is the maximum you can do.
Right.
I'm not saying they won't challenge 1,000, but I don't know, you know, what the
Okay.
actual
Well,
cost
I
is.
think that, Mandy will agree that they do put our staff through a lot
Oh,
of.
you go through a lot
We
of
spent
work.
that on
We
foil.
spend a lot of time on cell towers, and so I think that was one of the reasons we justified raising it, you know, to, hey, you know, what are you guys doing? You're making us work hard here, but it's, you know, I think if the board is okay with 1,000, I wouldn't go any more. I mean,
It's
originally,
an annual fee.
It's really
Right.
sad.
Yes, I guess my question is, they're in arrears as it is right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
some of them, some of
Right.
them.
Not all of them.
Are
So-
any of them caught up, Mandy?
I'm just saying, this is a good opportunity to send, just to remind them.
We
I think
send a
AT&T
letter, we
is
send
caught up.
stuff out to them.
Yeah, I've sent stuff,
Yeah.
but there's two that are already paid up for this year, so does that affect anything?
Well, we make it effective,
As of
right,
tonight.
so the fee when they were due, which was
So
probably
should I be
January
sending the
1st.
other ones new letters with the new fee? Cause I send them
They're
out in
past due,
January.
so that's the question.
Yeah, no, they're past due, and the fee in January is 2,500. At this point, I'd stick with that, if they still
Okay, so
2,500,
really it
and
would
then
be,
when somebody new comes in, if somebody new comes into town,
Right.
they have to pay their
Anything
annual
new
fee, it's
or,
gonna be 1,000.
or
because it's
starting in
not-
January next year.
okay, that was my.
Is it a January
I send them, I
start?
send them out in January.
Right, but if somebody applies that's new, they would have to pay.
With the amount of money that they're making off that cell tower,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
understand how
but
they
we
can
can't
make
look
it
at that.
cash.
But you can only, the point of a licensing fee is to cover your costs in doing the licensing.
I think one of the
It just, you
reasons-
know, it's,
Look at how many times the building inspector has to go over there because they didn't do their inspections and somebody's climbing the tower and, oh, you know, we see there's somebody on the tower and his inspection didn't get done and then he's over there telling people to get down. So, you know, there's a lot more than what happens when you have a new tower. A new tower doesn't, you know, take as much time. But I think that old tower in Maple Hill, you know, is part of the reason everybody felt that the numbers need to be high because they have no respect for the amount of time and
right,
energy that.
but we can't base it on this.
I know.
There's
No, but I
not-
mean, the time and energy that goes into it, you know, they make more work for us because they don't
For what they're
have.
supposed to do.
Right. But,
Maybe we should just put them in more to not do what they're
well,
supposed to do.
eventually, you know, we may have to.
I mean, and I think we probably have to take a look at that now, you know, from,
This whole
we're talking about the whole
situation.
foundation and
Right.
things like that.
I know the questions come up whether the foundation
Right,
is
with the
sound.
planning board, they're not saying, hey, about the foundation,
Is
we're looking
this-
at the structure, but, so I think that the town really has to look at this as a whole.
Is this Maple Hill now?
Maple Hill.
Yes, Maple Hill.
Yeah.
Because
Maple
I know,
Hill tends to be where the problem is.
I know a
Alright.
few years ago, we were sending somebody up there to inspect it, and nobody was there to unlock the gate. You know, we were going back and forth with that, so. Supervisor's fault.
I know, I apologize, because you did tell me about this, and I forgot to do the resolution for it. That was probably my subconscious saying, I don't want to do that.
We budgeted it for this year, and we did it for this year.
That's right.
Next year.
Well, we got who we're gonna get it from already. The one company is in double digits, and I can't get any response.
Right, and that's the one that,
They're the
they
ones-
were denied permits, and they challenged it to the ZBA, and the ZBA will make that decision either this month or next month.
Yeah, yep.
And based on the fact that they had fees to pay, you know, the building department said, we're going no further with this.
I can let you know that Mr. Klupweiss had some very good questions.
He had
that-
lots of questions.
Yeah, and he did a very good job, so I think there's gotta be a lot of answers to his concerns with the plinths of the chicken.
Well, that's a zone, so the zoning board will make.
Right.
Yeah, the zoning board will make that determination.
Anything else for you? Bob?
No.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
you took
Thank you.
Yeah. That was like 50.
Okay, I get it.
Andy's got the
I
toner
was
on.
paying Bob's back.
Okay, the planning board took in revenues of $8,028 in the month of February.
Wow.
And $7,500 of that, over 8,000, is an escrow
Oh, okay. So
check.
they didn't-
Yeah, they didn't really take it in.
from, right, from
Okay.
AT&T
I'm like, wow.
for their
So
ongoing.
The agenda didn't look that
procedure.
long.
They're still in the application process of upgrading their
Their antennas.
antennas on the tower. They're changing out 3 old ones for 3 new ones. And the planning board last month met a lot about that. The lawyer from AT&T was here. And there was some back and forth between the town and our engineers and AT&T, where first there were the diagonal struts had failed to some degree. In 2013 there was a report about that. And with the tower upgrades, the new antennas, sometimes they catch more wind. So it's not the towers bearing more weight, it's about catching wind and stressing things more. So I don't know if that's been remedied, I can't remember.
Okay.
But the foundation is now in question. With the impact, the shock, and the racking of the whole tower, the questions come up, is the foundation in adequate condition? And AT&T were first claiming that they were unjustly burdened by having to pay for a structural report that Sprint company did not have to pay for when they had just upgraded. So there's I guess it's kind of going back and forth right now.
They're supposed to pay if they come back to do any changes. So
Right.
any changes, each one of them has to pay because they have to have another physical,
Right.
Inspection, not just an engineering report, but a physical inspection. So
Right.
that's where.
And this will all be discussed tomorrow night at the planning board meeting here at 7. It's a public hearing. Should I read the public hearing notice?
Okay.
Okay. Town of Rosendale Planning Board, notice of public hearing before the Rosendale Planning Board. Please take notice that the Planning Board of the Town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, will hold a public hearing pursuant to some little symbol there.
I mean section.
Yeah.
Is that?
Subsection.
Subsection 75-40B2A of the Rosendale Town Code on application number 2015-1. New singular wireless PCS LLC for proposed special use permit located at 138 Maple Drive, Kingston, New York, in the town of Rosendale. Said hearing will take place at 7 p.m. on Thursday, March 12, 2015, in the town of Rosendale, round out this building, at which time all interested persons will be given the opportunity to be heard. So this singular wireless is one of the names that AT&T is going
Oh,
to
there's-
I mean,
yeah,
there's sort of a combined,
Their new name or something.
right, combined ownership somehow.
They change names quicker than change the sheets on your bed.
Okay, so that's, building department has business looking into the matter that was discussed about the garbage company earlier, and that's in process. Hold on. The building department took in $1,275 in the month of February. The assessor, the office of the assessor has nothing new to report, except there is a grievance day for your assessment on May 26th between noon and 4 p.m. in their office, the assessor's office down the hall. Oh, it's in here.
It's the whole
Oh,
board.
right.
Yeah.
Lori wasn't sure. Okay. Also, the building department did have a report that there were still 8 8 properties on Main Street, Rosendale, who still hadn't adequately cleared the snow.
Probably new properties, the newer snowfall or whatever.
Right, right. As of yesterday, there were still 8, and they were being melted or slowly being chopped away.
Yeah, I think the problem was that it had become just ice.
Right,
Impenetrable for some property owners.
The High Falls Water District, the January meeting had been canceled, the makeup meeting had been canceled from weather, and the April meeting will go on. I don't quite know the date yet, but I'll find out.
Barring any blizzards.
The Economic Development Commission met last week, I think it was, and had a lively meeting, a lot focused on parking on Main Street and kind of the continuing theme that's also consistent with the comprehensive plan and finding Rosendale in that the village and Main Street are a heart of a magnetic attraction to Rosendale and bring in economic revenue. So a lot of the Economic Development Commission is focused on how to make that more viable for businesses so they can have parking, people can expect to park there.
Did you give them a little report on finding Rosendale?
Probably, yeah, I don't know. Did I go after?
There's a Finding Rosendale meeting coming up, is that
We have
set?
one.
No, he means a
No, I
public
mean the
meeting.
public.
Oh, the
bigger-
public
Do we have
meeting.
that date yet?
We don't have the public
I don't
meeting.
think we have that
Find it on
date
the
yet,
site.
no, we're still, we probably know,
Look for that.
another 2
because
weeks we'll know.
It's
Yeah.
really exciting, that project. So if anybody sees a notice about Finding Rosendale,
Yeah.
please come.
Yeah, and we had a good meeting this past Friday with various stakeholders in town. Main Street was there, represented theater and home studio workshop and others. Yeah, we're making a lot of progress and there's some very exciting plans in the works. The planner is going to be preparing, I guess, the sort of final plan, a draft plan, and that's going to be the basis of the next public meeting to review that plan. Probably April.
Okay.
One more note about with the Economic Development Commission. One thing that was consensus that came out of the meeting was that perhaps 2-hour limit parking for some of Rosendale, Main Street Rosendale, might be under consideration as an idea. I don't know if that's come up in the past.
It's come up over and over. It would be really difficult to
Enforce that.
and,
Right,
We don't have,
enforcement.
we don't have, we don't have meter maids to do that.
I got some time, Jeannie, I could.
All you need is some
This is
jobs,
how
right?
new positions always get created.
I still say parking on both sides of the street.
Yeah, I would.
Slows down the traffic.
I always like that myself,
Wow.
yeah.
We'll all get slender
We'll
vehicles.
make all those
Yeah.
18-wheelers
Used to be
upset,
that
but
way.
you take your time going down Main Street then.
You have to take your time now,
Yeah.
yeah, because you know.
I can't
people
tell you.
can't park because of the ice, so they're out on the road, they drive down
Every day when I walk home, I can see the remains of side view mirrors
Oh, yeah.
that have been clipped
Wow.
on Main Street. It happens constantly until the snow is removed from the south side. The cars stick out and a truck and a car just can't
You
make
really
it.
picked the wrong side to park on, really.
I'm telling you.
Parking should be on the
On
other
the
side,
warm
because
side of
that's
the
the
street.
side that melts.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
gone on the
Right.
north side already, but it's the south side that it's really still a problem.
Yeah.
And mailboxes, Victoria Gardens mailboxes.
One of the things is when they put the new sidewalks, they made the sidewalks wider too. You know, the old slate sidewalks were very narrow compared to what's up there now, so that's one of the reasons that it went to the
Although
inside.
there's
And
still.
the other big problem too, the big problem too now is the drainage on the north side of the street, which
I'm just gonna say that Main Street is not the only one with that problem. It's happening all over town with drainage with this weather, so, you know, it's.
Oh, my question is, when they redo the road, is regrading the part of the road in front of the theater is where the water pools, so that if you stood and met me outside the theater on any given day where there's a puddle, you'd be drenched. People leaving the theater, they look to see if a car is coming, and they make a run for it. Yeah, I mean, it's comical.
Yeah, I've gotten totally drenched
Oh.
on Main Street
Yeah.
walking up.
And it's because of the way that the road goes, it drains down into like a low spot there, and it never gets to where the storm sewer is. So, are there any
You're
plans?
asking when the water line gets repaired, is that what you're
And the
saying?
road gets-
I really don't know, I don't know, because that's, I haven't sat down with them to say what measures you're gonna take. I mean, I think they have to put it back the way they got it, and that would probably be more of a DOT question.
Yeah, well,
Because
hopefully
that's-
that'll be asked, and that'll be
It's a state
in
road,
the
so.
plans.
Yeah, I mean, we can bring it up at that time, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
something they can address.
It's just a matter of.
Remember, they're not there for that purpose, they're there to replace the line, so. I don't know how big the opening will be, if it'll go near where the problem is, that's all gonna be evaluated as they do this process.
Okay.
Who's next?
My turn, okay. So, Youth Commission, I reported at our last meeting about the discussion, rates. The rates, the board did, raise the camp rates. I had just a brief exchange with Eric, because I wanted to see how registration went Saturday, and he was brief, but he said that it went well, so.
And I understand he brought in about $10,000 in camp fees, so that means about a third of the registrations, that sounds like.
So, that's good. January attendance at the youth center was 145 youth, and in February it was 136, which I just chalk up to February being a short one. Some good news, Stewarts holiday match has donated $1,500 to the youth program, which is really great. This is a really wonderful donation program they have from Thanksgiving through Christmas Day. Stewarts customers generously donated $770,000 to the program.
What is the purpose for this donation? What does it have to be used for? Anything?
That's a good question. He just gave me the Stewart, it doesn't say in the letter. I don't know what Eric asked for, because it's not.
I know a
Do
lot
you
of
know?
times they use that money for trophies, for T-ball,
But is it
monies.
camp related, or is it
I mean, he
anything?
must have applied for
This part
something.
might be,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
If it's, is it a grant or is it a gift?
it's a donation
Okay, then.
to the youth
Then you
program.
folks have to vote to accept that.
Do we have to vote to accept it?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
donation you have to vote
Okay.
to accept.
I make a motion to accept the generous donation of $1,500 from Stewarts Shops to the Town of Rosendale Youth Program.
I'll second that.
We're all in favor. Okay, thank you, Stewarts.
Donation.
Let's see. And the youth
You
program
have the
fund.
same polling, did you get that?
Yeah, this is, bear with me, it's my
Okay.
first report, in my new appointment as youth program liaison. The clothing shed took in $161.61 in the month of January. And $50 were raised through party fees. Month of February, $166.17, so it's very close to the same amount. And $30 in parties for a total of $196.17. The transfer station took in $2,045.14.
And I just want to mention that I did a little comparison, and it's pretty much doubled the last 2 months.
The transfer station with the new fee.
Yeah. So we're seeing about the same amount of use and double, getting double the amount of money.
How have
Wow.
customers
It's been no problems,
Okay. I mean, people, I think, understood.
Yep.
And Renee does a really good job of explaining explaining what we're up against as a town. The police took in $20 for the month of February. I don't have a report from dog control, but the clerk's office took in $6,053.68. That is the end of my reports.
Thank you. In the general fund, $2,196,837.89. In the highway fund, $388,114.48. In capital highway, $36,159.73. In capital, $70,150.05. In rec sub, $25,444.37. In capital rec, $791.76. In light, $26,218.28.
I have it.
You have it?
May I have it, Kelly?
Yeah.
For how much?
Because I talk faster and counting cars comes on.
I'm not sure if it was giving everybody or just each person his liaison.
Why did Councilwoman Metzger get it and I did?
It was in the state.
What's everybody talking about?
I have the letter from Ann on my shoulder, so.
The letter what?
I just read it.
Okay. Did you say that you wanted to make a motion to accept what it says?
No, I was suggesting.
Should he make a second? Okay.
Did I second it?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Leslie Truitt.
I second that motion. How are we doing, Jerry?
I just saw it. I'm looking for the letter for, Ann
Okay, roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kraslovsky,
Yes, with appreciation and regret.
sorry,
Wish her well in her new
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
It's tabled to Sarah Liggins.
Thank you.
She was in the folders, was she?
Huh? No, she was, something like that.
Oh.
Maybe, just wondering if this, in the school.
Is Dougie with resignation on that backup that I just made?
No,
I didn't see Doug. I saw it. I saw all the others.
it should be in here.
So the liaisons should be making these motions for appointments and resignations of those boards we liaison with. which is what we're trying to figure out right now.
Here's Stewarts. No, that's me.
Got it. Got
Here,
it.
you can wear
I
my
bought
jacket,
myself time.
but you have to give it back.
I don't know.
Do you need to read the one?
Oh, here, this one's Ann's. This one's Ann's, right?
Yeah.
It's attached to the.
You can read her.
Okay. So we still don't have to know where Doug's is?
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
That's fine. All right. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Douglas Tyler, the third, excuse me, and I think he made a request to stay on as per diem. Is that correct?
He did, and I would second that motion.
Could we know what they're for, what the resignations are?
He's the court clerk.
And the previous one was the planning, zoning, ZBA clerk.
CBA clerk.
I should say he's the part-time court clerk.
Building, what did I say?
Planning.
Oh, yeah.
Is the building?
Leslie
She
Cruz,
was the
building,
ZBA
planning and zoning.
Right?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Michelle, I'm sorry. Come on, Andy.
Call vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Krasowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Michelle Williams as deputy dog control officer. She's staying on as deputy town clerk.
I will second that, Ms. LeBray. She's great with the dogs. Hope she continues to visit them.
Call vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Krasowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes, with deep regret.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. A motion to appoint Mandy Constable as part-time court clerk up to 15 hours a week at $13 per hour.
I second that.
Call vote, Councilman
Heartily.
Hughes,
Yes.
Wholeheartedly.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Should she be doing that? Or should we-
Yeah.
Michelle?
what do we have Michelle do?
Michelle,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh.
Michelle,
Work.
take the vote, please, for that. Just Mandy.
We can redo it.
You have to start over, yeah.
Okay. Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilwoman Krasowski.
Councilman.
Councilman.
Look at the B.
But it's all right.
I meant Councilman.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
I don't know. Yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so. Right. Very good. I don't need to introduce letters of recognition, just strictly.
You can
do
say
this.
it if you want to. It's up
Okay.
to
Good
you.
to say, because it's
Yeah,
their
then it
job
shows
to
their,
appoint.
yeah, the
Right.
planning board has to pick it.
Okay, as far as the clerk to serve on the Building, Planning, and Zoning Board, Teresa Cassis is up for contention for that position, and she got support from, letter of recommendation from the building inspector, the planning board head, and the zoning department, for the ZBA. Yeah, so she got plenty of letters of recommendation. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Teresa Casas as clerk of building, planning, and zoning.
And I second that, and I would like to read a letter written.
The pay scale and stuff.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Right. I have a question about it.
At a rate of $12 per hour.
Is it the same number of hours that was?
30 hours.
30 hours.
And I'd like to second that motion, and I have a letter written on behalf of Brisa from Ann Hoteling. Dear Supervisor Walsh, Town Board members, Brisa Casa has worked as a clerk for the ZBA for a couple of months. Her position requires a number of responsibilities, including receiving, typing, distributing, and filing documents, ensuring public hearing notices are posted, preparing agendas and minutes, and answering questions from the public via email and telephone. In the short time she has been interim clerk, Ms. Casas has proved to be a very efficient employee. It would be my pleasure to continue working with her, and as such, I recommend her for the permanent position of zoning clerk. Respectfully yours, Ann Hoteling. I like to add to it, as myself, I work close with Brisa and she's a very diligent worker, and she's very focused, and the town is very fortunate to have her working for us.
I have letters like that as well. I won't read them, but they're all consistent with that, saying people are very happy to have her on. So,
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes?
yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh?
I'm gonna abstain.
I'll do the next one.
You can?
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Ann Johnson to the Economic Development Commission.
I'll second that.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh?
Yes.
And this one slipped through the cracks last month, so we want to fix that. A motion to appoint Ben Titulo as chairman to the youth commission.
I would like to second that wholeheartedly, especially now that I know he knows that he's being appointed.
I'd like to say that prior to Councilwoman Metzger being the liaison, I was on youth commission, and I want to thank Ben for doing this in all the years he's done it. How many years have you been on that?
It's been quite a while, since we're on Main
Stop
Street,
counting somewhere along the way.
somewhere along the way.
Well, thank you very much for serving our town and serving the youth down here. You're a role model for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh?
Yes. So this next candidate is for the rec commission, and as Councilman Ryan said, we did have letters of support from several commissioners and to appoint him as anybody. And then the last thing we talked about, making sure that I sent these off ahead of time. Make a motion to appoint Will Gaudette to the Recreation Commission.
It's your commission.
It's my commission, but I am not going to second the motion because I misdirect the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
I'm going to abstain because I misdirect meeting. I haven't had a chance to talk personally with Mr. Malik, and I really don't know, I do not know this gentleman, so the safest route for me is to abstain.
Supervisor Walsh?
Yes. Okay. Next thing on the agenda, John, I'm not sure how up to speed you are on what was going on with the court. We had, the town board in October had drafted a letter called the Corrective Action Plan to send to the New York Comptroller's office. I've sent out an amended letter to you guys based on conversations I had with the Comptroller's office and kind of what's going on with court now. And want you to review that to see if you have any questions and if you would like to endorse it, because I received another letter. We had said we weren't going to send a letter because we weren't getting cooperation. So the question is now we're being pressured to send a letter. And I did put a caveat at the end. These actions are contingent on the cooperation of the town justices with the town board. So I thought that might cover us if you're comfortable. We could put it off till April if you guys feel like we need more time.
Was it a requirement or a
It was
recommendation?
a requirement. We had to resolve.
All right. Yeah, okay.
This was the.
We did this.
We drafted it, I made a few
Yeah.
changes to it to accommodate, the concerns we had about, the change, because when we first drafted it, we thought we could direct the court to do certain things. Now we're understanding that, we can only do what we can do. So I made some changes to it. I don't know if you want to look at it, Mary, to see what you think.
What do we want to do with this tonight?
Do you want to just look
I'm
at
gonna make
it?
a
till
motion,
April,
I'm gonna make
or
a
do you want
motion
to-
to send it.
When do we have any deadline?
We're past our deadline.
Yeah, the deadline is-
That's why I'm not concerned if we have to wait, we have to wait till April 1st, I mean, it's really late. And I had explained to them at first that I wasn't gonna do it, and I got pressure to do it, so that's why it's back here. I think I got an email to you guys today, but you probably all didn't see it, even though, because I was still working on it this afternoon.
We drafted it together,
Yeah.
so I have a fairly high sense of confidence in it, but if there's not a rush, if it's okay to wait till look at it.
I'm okay with that, I just wanted you guys to.
Keep this copy there?
You can, yeah. But I did make a couple of changes that I wanted to, maybe I should point out. Like I said, that last sentence.
Yeah.
The other thing was, if you looked at our report, there was something about those bail records that I made sure that was added. I basically went through the statements that they had made and responded to, added some responses just to make sure we covered the things that they were questioned. One of the things I added in here that we didn't talk about, having concrete plan, was to do a verification of financials through our account on a quarterly basis. I don't remember the number. And the other thing that they had asked us to do is that the court make their court clerks, their duties and longer clerks, be sure they're keeping accurate records. That was not in our original one.
But that was a given for years and years and years.
Well, I'm just saying we had to respond to the two comments. So if you look at the last one, it says the town board will also request court accounts be reviewed by town accountant quarterly. And that's basically, that's just another oversight that would probably give Chris a little bit of confidence.
I think it's fair to let the public know that it's kind of a crazy structure here. We don't oversee the court, but it's our money. So when the comptroller's office did their audit and found these problems, they want us to take corrective actions, but it's hard to do corrective actions because we don't oversee the court. Exactly.
Which is the annual audit.
Right, and even those things we want them or try to make them do, there's resistance. So with that being said,
Yeah.
it's kind of a strange situation.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else that I have to tell you. I also changed the dates to be by December of this year instead of December of last year.
But passing this resolution has nothing to do with this resolution will enforce what we put in play.
Well,
We're committing to trying to get this done.
this is just our action, that's all I can.
That's
think
our
of. It's
action,
our
but
action.
we really can't enforce it, and it doesn't seem like
There's
there's anybody's
there's-
support.
There's a couple things that, if you look,
It's really strange, it's bizarre to me that we have to come up with corrective actions, but we can't really do anything about it. That's the bottom line, because you don't oversee the court.
there were a couple of, yeah, we do have some.
Just doesn't make sense.
Is this new request of what we're asking them to do, is that consistent with what other town courts already do? Or is this like a probationary?
It's because of the problems that
Right.
occurred, the comptroller looked and said, look, here are the issues we need addressed.
Right.
we'd like you to try to address these, basically.
So number,
Because some we can't control, but we can try.
Right.
and
But
number
isn't-
one, I'm
okay.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, isn't it also, though, additionally, and from this day forward, you will kind of conduct business in a more, like, the record keeping will be a little bit more stringent or something?
It's to encourage that.
Right. And is it in a, like, are they in a probationary designation, or it's not burdensome necessarily? It's doable? I mean, it's not too much to ask of them.
No, I don't think so.
It's not
No,
a
it's
rule.
their responsibility.
It's things they should be doing,
Or the comptroller wouldn't be pointing it out if it wasn't something they're responsible for.
Councilman Hughes, I've just been here for a long time, and this isn't the first rodeo.
Yeah.
Mandy, you want to
So number
resign
one,
this class?
number one says the town officials should take action to recover any monies due to the town or New York State, and that's already being taken care of, so that action we've already taken. So you could say, you know, that was something that the town board had control
And I have
over.
a meeting monthly. Yeah, I mean, with those changes, and I had a chance to look over the rest, just do this.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
doing
It's
it.
up to you guys, you know, that's why I said, you know, it's whatever you're comfortable with. And, you know, they are ensuring us to get it done, so. You wanna do it now?
Sure.
So can somebody just read the last part of the motion?
Motion made,
I don't have.
motion made at a regular meeting of the town board of the town of Rosendale on March 11, 2015 by Supervisor Walsh, and
Do we wanna
second.
read the whole thing? We need to read the whole thing?
You can attach this and you can just make a motion for this to be the response to the
So, go ahead.
controller's recommendation.
So,
I had a flow going in. I
yeah,
didn't mess with
I'm
it.
sorry. So,
I'm gonna start over since it's very short. Motion made at a regular meeting of the town board of the town of Rosedale on March 11, 2015 by Supervisor Walsh and seconded by Councilman,
I have to add something, so, we need to make a motion to send to the comptroller's office this document that is dated
March.
October
Oh.
8th, 2014, and amended March 11, 2015, which is the CAP, or Corrective Action Plan for the town of Rosendale in response to the Justice Court report and examination for a period covering January 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2013, number 2014M232.
And you said it.
I'll second that.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Chrislowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
yes.
Supervisor